Here we are at the 2023 Grand National Roadster Show at the Pomona Fairplex in downtown Pomona, California. And the show's been going on for 72 plus years. And we're here with Jack Chisenhall. A lot of you may remember Jack as the founder and chief cook and bottle washer for a company called Vintage Air. Well, he's famous for air conditioning, but Jack's also a car guy, and he loves building hot rods, and he has a contender this year for America's most beautiful roadster. And we're standing in front of his little 32 Highboy. But enough about me. Let Jack tell you about the car.
I was always an Indianapolis fan. As soon as I could, I got up there to go to the race, and I was always a hot rodder. But I had this vision kind of forming in my head of if I was going to do a roadster, which I always wanted to do, you know, what would it be like? And I wanted to take that love for Indianapolis racing and blend it with a 32 Ford, still a traditional car, but have, you know, features and elements from Indy car racing. And that's kind of was the early thoughts I had in my head.
Now, I know that you built a lot of this car at your shop.
Yep.
Why don't you give us just a little history on what you did at your shop and who helped you there? Because I know the car eventually ended up at Roy Brizzio's, and then Hollenbeck did the paint.
Yep.
And Sid did the interior.
Right.
Yeah, so just give us a little background information on what you folks did at your shop.
Well, you know, I wanted to build the mechanical part of the car in Texas, and I talked to Roy about this probably 20 years ago. Yeah. I didn't know it'd take this long, but I says, Roy, you know, I've got this Deuce and I want to build it, and I want to build it here, but when I'm finished with the mechanical side of the car, I want to take it to you and let you help me with the paint and the interior. And so that's that. You know, Roy even came out a couple of times just to see what kind of mess he was getting into, right? And so yeah, that was the plan, and it turned out working out well.
All right. Now we're standing here at the front of the car, and I'm seeing a lot of parts I identify with, but I'm really interested in what were you thinking about where you positioned the headlights and what they are and the headlight bar, and tell us a little bit about the front axle and the suspension. What's going on here in the front end?
So my dad liked Plymouths, and Plymouths always had torsion bars. Okay. And that sparked me. I wanted to use torsion bars on this car. Okay. Probably when I was still in school. Yeah. And so this car's got torsion bars, and we got Gary Schroeder to build the bars, and we built all the arms to go out to the axle. Okay. So the arms are made out of a 17-4 stainless, and we made the perches and everything to go to the hubs. And the axle is a 37 tube axle that we kind of took the kingpin, the perches, the perch bosses out of there, and welded the hairpin brackets to the axle.
Now, what did you use for a spindle? Because I see the very popular disc brake package with drilled and slotted rotors. Tell me about the spindle and the brake package.
Well, the spindles are early Ford spindles, and we managed to make it all work. And the brakes are Willwood. Yeah. Yeah, got Willwood brakes on it, and they packaged real well in these wheels.
To me, the headlights look like you've gone on your own weight. Yeah. So tell me, what kind of headlights are they, and how did you integrate them into the front end?
The headlights are 36 Ford headlights that we've fixed the bottom of them and put steel beams in them, and we made that bar. You know, this bracket that we mounted it's kind of a Nerf bar looking thing, which I felt kind of fit in the character of the car, and it mounts the headlights as well.
Yep. And let's talk about what you're doing for the wheels and tires on this now.
Well, it's the wheels and tires on this car. These are old IndyCar wheels. They came off from the era of like 1960 to like 1965. Well, probably 1955 to 1965. They use these wheels. They're 18-inch wheels in the back and 16-inch wheels in the front. We put them on knockoff hubs.
Right.
And
now I know they were never polished like this out on the racetrack.
I don't know. I tell you, it's true. These wheels are probably 35 to 40 years old. Yeah. So they're not new wheels.
What are the tires?
I was able to mix the two
treads?
because the treads are identical.
Yeah.
So Engelberts. Engelberts. They're Engelberts in the back because and we use those. I got Excelsiors, but the Engelberts are a little wider in the tread, and I like the way they fit on the car better. So you notice we shaved the sidewall so you couldn't tell I had two different kind of tires on it. And it's got the Excelsiors on the front,
right,
and it's got the Engelberts on the back.
Okay, now since we're talking about shiny and polishing, tell me about the paint. What did you do? I mean, the black on this is stunning.
Yeah, well, I got to give credit to Daryl Hollenbeck.
Yeah, Hollenbeck.
He painted the car, and you know, the body was nice.
Yeah.
But
Daryl did the body work and the paint.
Well, we did the early body work on it, you know, and got it as nice as we could, but you know, and we did the roll pan and all that stuff out there in Texas.
Okay.
But yeah, then we sent it to Daryl. Well, I made a deal with Roy Brizio some time ago.
Yeah.
That when I was to that point, as I mentioned, that he was going to do the paint and upholstery out there. Yeah. So that led us to Daryl.
Do you remember what brand paint you used?
I think that he used PPG on it.
I'm pretty sure because that's what he uses.
I think he used PPG on it, and you know, he just. God, when he sent me pictures of this thing, it was like looking in a mirror. You saw everything around the car because it's such a nice finish. But
now, since we're standing here looking, tell me about the windshield.
Well, the windshield's pretty stock. You know, it's a 4-inch chop.
Okay.
And
but you didn't lay back the posts or anything.
No, I didn't. I wanted them just like that.
Okay. We're looking here also at the engine. Tell me about what you got under there for the V8.
Well, the engine is a 1956 Dodge Hemi. It was originally a 315 cubic inch, and yes, they started out with a 241, which is real small, then a 270, and then later on they did a 315 and a 325. Okay. This is the 315.
All right.
And I wanted to take some weight off the front of the car, and so I cast some cylinder heads for it.
So you made your own aluminum heads?
Aluminum cylinder heads for it.
Okay.
And I made a water pump that got to move the fan up. I've done that at Vintage Air too.
Sure.
We had a riser, and I built a riser for this one. So the water pump I cast out of aluminum as well, and it's mounts the alternator and the compressor. And this car's air conditioned, of course. You can't see it anywhere, but it's in there.
Okay.
And the compressor's down under the motor. But
sure. Well, I see some air conditioning ducts by the seating.
Yeah, they are.
Okay. And then you have under dash ducts?
No, it's behind the seat and right there, and then two in the console.
Okay.
But going back to the engine, so their throttle bodies. I had a guy that was a race car tuner working for us back in the machine shop, and he tuned some of the fastest pro mod cars in the country.
Oh man!
And you know, and he did a few things for me. And I said, man, this guy's got talent.
He's good.
You know, he's good. So anyway, I gave him an idea of what I was wanting on the throttle bodies, and like a week later, he comes back with exactly what I needed in the throttle body, and they're on the car now. What that did to me is it eliminated the water outlet on the front of the motor.
Oh yeah.
So now then I'm going, okay, now what do I do? So anyway, we made those Y tubes that you see going up to the radiator, and we had to put the thermostat. We had to build a rear surface of the radiator. We cut the aluminum piece out that the radiator had, and we machined a piece that is a receiver for the thermostat.
Okay.
So the thermostat's now up in the top of the radiator.
All right.
But we had to do that because there was no other place to put it. It's one of those things, you go down a street unless you see there's no way to get out.
Okay.
So we had to figure it out.
Well, tell me about the interior on this.
Well, the interior, you know, Steve Mole, I needed some seats, and I wanted seats like those, kind of a bucket seat. And Steve was making some, and so those are right out of Steve's shop, and a guy named Damon Detner did some work on them to make them fit in the car, but basically those are mold seats, and also the steering wheel is Steve made for me.
Okay.
So those two parts we had made out of house, but pretty much all the other parts we made.
And then Sid Shavers did all the leather work and the carpeting.
And Sid did the interior,
Okay. The gauges are stunning. Tell me about the gauges.
Those are classic instruments.
Okay.
And, you know, I called
John over there?
John over there. In fact, he was just here earlier. But I told him what I was looking for, and God, he sent me these back, and they even got the little turn signal.
So
deals.
They're new gauges.
They're new gauges.
Oh, okay, because they have a very vintage look. They really look right.
I mean, that's really what I wanted, and I called him. He says, I can do it, but
hang on.
He said, yeah. I said, it's going to be a little work, and so he made those special for me. The steering column is the original 32 column, and then you see the ignition switch is it's a 39 Ford ignition switch with the little feather on it, which I like the feather.
Now, I see 3 pedals in there.
Yeah.
So tell me about the transmission, and it looks like your pedals are actuated under the cowl. You've got an under cowl. Okay.
Yeah, they got the master cylinders on the firewall.
Yeah.
But yeah, those pedals we cast out of 17-4 stainless. I drew those up. All these parts that I did, I drew and made prints of them, and then I sent them to the foundry and had those parts made. So those pedals are both the throttle pedals and the brake and clutch pedals are cast, and we got a balance bar on the brake pedal.
Now I can tell you, I walk up to this and I go, man, that is a great looking 32 Ford Highboy, but I know you've modified some sheet metal here. So tell me, like we're standing by the rear quarter panels. Tell me what you did in the rear quarter panels, because I'm noticing some metal work that's been removed. So tell us what happened here with the quarter panels.
Well, you know, so I got the first thing we did with the rear end, right, is we move in and we get those, and I wanted to get those tires as tight against the body as I could, but not hit the body, right?
Okay, yeah.
So you take the thing and you lift it through its travel when all the linkage is tied up, and you find out, okay, how close can I get these wheels? And then you made the rear end, right? And so,
real quick, tell us about the rear end, then we'll get back to the sheet metal.
Well, it's a Winters.
A Winters quick change?
It's a Winters quick change, you know.
So you've got a Winters quick change going on. Is it an independent or is it a solid?
No, it's an axle. It's an axle.
Okay.
It's an axle, and it's kind of bone stock Winters quick change, and you know. And then what we did is, so after we got all that in place, and I thought, man, the wheels are just right, and everything's cool. And then I look back there, and that wheelhouse is so deep. That it was just a big old cavern of empty space, and it just kind of like, wow, I didn't get what I was after. So we made some panels. You can see we worked with that original reveal, and we took a die grinder and we, the wheel, Ziz wheel, and we split that thing right in half, and then we made that panel go straight down from that reveal, and it goes down to where you see those screws. And then that's another panel that you can remove to take the rear end in and out.
Now I'm looking at what I would call a rolled pan, but I bet that's part of the belly pan too, is it?
No, it's
just a true rolled pan?
Back here. It goes all the way
to the front of the axle?
To the front axle and a little more. So it goes pretty close to the frame rails.
Now I also notice you have the exhaust exits in your pan, and then I see 39 teardrops for tail lights, and you Frenched the license plate.
We sunk the license plate. We made the license plate in the shop. It's out of stainless frame. So I wanted this deal, but the problem is, exhaust, when you turn the motor on, it gets bigger, and it pushes stuff around. So what we did is we got I made these tips, and we flared them there in the shop and made them. And then we made a bracket, and that is anchored solid to the chassis off of a bracket. And then we got some flex tubing. You've seen that flex tubing that's like a
accordion.
A bellows, like a bellows. And so that allows those to set in that position and not move around. And
it expands and contracts and allows the tip to stay fixed.
Exactly where it's at. And this, another hole I got into, I was going to another alley, and I got those things in there, and then I thought, wait a minute, when the exhaust gets hot, it's going to push these things right out of here. So,
Now,
part of the process, of hot rod.
Oh, I hear you. Now, the trunk area, okay, we have a trunk, but it looks like you've hidden the gas tank back there, and it looks like you fill your gas tank through a race cap that you have to have trunk access to.
Well, but it's got 2 fuel cells.
Okay.
And I had them made into cells.
Okay.
So they are, and they're down, they're right in front of that firewall,
Behind the seat.
Behind the seat, yes. And they do take that space up in there. That's kind of, there's nothing there.
Yep.
And so yeah, they're in there and they're fuel cells, and then I got to fill it on this side, and it fills one tank, and then we got a pump in there that'll pump it over to the other tank.
Got it. So what? How much do you think you're carrying? How much fluid?
Oh gosh, it's 14 gallons.
Well, that's plenty then.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right, and then we were talking about the rear quarter panel, and then the back area here. Did you have to modify the deck lid much?
No.
Okay.
No, it's pretty stock.
Okay, and then what about the doors?
The doors are pretty stock, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we get up to the, obviously you made the hood.
Yeah, we made the hood.
And then did you have to chop the grill shell at all?
No.
No. Okay,
no.
So that's a standard height grill shell?
It's a stock height grill shell.
Okay, but you cut it to fit over the axle, so it lowered
and
like
fit
that.
everything, yes.
All right. Yeah. What other goodies can you tell us about the car?
Well,
have you had a chance to drive it yet?
Yes, I drove it. Yeah.
Okay.
And gosh, it drives. It's got a Vega box, but it's out of a Vega car. It's a GM. It's brand new. GM bought a new old stock GM box, and got to drive the car the other day, and the feel is great. I love it, and the car drives. Man, I'm so excited about the way the car drives.
How do you like the motor, the response? Everything feel nice there?
Yeah, it feels good.
Docile enough to drive around?
It does. I just rolled it in here and just sneaked it around the corner. It was just very smooth. The clutch is really nice. Good. The bell housing stuff is pretty unique. A guy named we built an aluminum bell housing because I put the starter. I wanted the starter in the center top of the bell housing because I had a roll pan on. I mean a belly pan on it, and I wanted to get everything up high enough to be above the belly pan. So I had to sneak the exhaust the side of the motor, which meant I had to lose the starter, and so we built a bell housing that's machined out of aluminum for that, and the starter's right in the middle, and you see a little hump on there, and that's what that is.
Now, we don't see a top on it sitting here at the Roadster show.
Yeah.
But you do have a top for the car?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, is there anyone else you want to tell us, that maybe we should give some kudos to that helps you out on the project? Well, who else?
Yeah, George Hagee, he started helping me with this a couple years ago. He worked at Vintage Air, and so he came out, and all he's ever done in his life is build race cars and race cars, and he's a real handy sheet metal guy, and so we all worked on it together, and I spent, I tried to get my hand in everything and try to do some of the work on everything, and I managed to do that, but I was still trying to run Vintage Air at the same time. So to get the car done, George was a big help. Of course, the guys at Roy Brizio helped me.
Brizio Street Rods.
Street Rods, and Sid Shavers, and Daryl Hollenbeck. And those are the key players.
I think you've done a pretty good job of getting it finished. I mean, it's gorgeous. Well, I should also tell everyone that's listening to this video or watching the video that we've been fortunate enough to get quite a few build photos. So I've got Ron Saradano. He'll be doing some build story on the engine. He's going to do something on the chassis, and we're going to see what else we can pull out of it. But we want to wish you the best of luck here at the 2023 Grand National Roadster Show. We know you're in competition for the AMBR, and this looks like a pretty stout year. There's some gorgeous cars here.
There are.
But I tell you what, this Roadster stands good with any of them.
We did the best we could. We brought it out here, and whatever happens is good. But if anything, anything good happens, then that's just gravy.
Well, that's good. And we're going to look forward to photographing the car this week. And for everyone, it's going to be in Modern Rodding magazine here in a little while. And we're just thankful. We're very appreciative, Jack, that you let us photograph your car, because we're sure happy. And we wish you the best of luck.
Well, I really appreciate you guys, and I've been working with old Ron and stuff, and we've been having some fun. So I appreciate you guys, and we always have. I mean, like we were just talking.
We have a history.
We have a history. It goes way back, and
I think I remember you. I think I remember you with a card table and a Ford van. And I think we might have even been in Oklahoma, maybe.
Yeah.
At an NSRA event. And,
yeah.
and
1976.
Come up to you and I go, "What's this?" Well, it's air conditioning. What's it for?
Yeah, what for?
Yeah. Well, it's for a hot rod. And I'm going, "You got to be kidding!
Yeah,
Who'd put air conditioning in a hot rod?"
Don't quit your day job.
Yeah.
I think that's what you said.
Well, as I am so many times, I was wrong.
Yeah.
No, you built one hell of a company, and it clearly is one of the products that now has become a staple in our industry. And I think you deserve a lot of credit for being a forerunner in that and helping advance our industry. So we want to thank you very, very much, and once again, wish you the best of luck.
Well, thank you, sir.